Namaskar and welcome to my channel Kundali, Understanding Horoscope the Vedic Way. This video's topic is Grah Vichaar. In my video on Kundali fundamentals, I mentioned that there are 5 components to a Kundali. In that video, I discussed sthaan Vichar. The second component is Grah Vichaar, which I will discuss in this video. Grah Vichaar is about planets, their nature and properties which help us read a Kundali. In Grah Vichaar, I will discuss the following topics. First, the details about 7 planets as defined in traditional Vedic way. Then, the astral points called Rahu and Ketu. After that, I will discuss how they influence our lives and what are the specific aspects of this influence, also known as kaarak in Hindi. Additionally, I will discuss the planet's nature, as well as examples of how to interpret a horoscope based on the planet's influence and nature. Here, I have the 7 planets listed: Sun or Surya in Hindi, Moon or Chandrama, Mercury or Bhuddh, Venus or Shukra, Mars or Mangal, Jupiter also known as Brihaspati in Hindi, and Saturn also called Shani in Hindi. Rahu and Ketu are astral points which are not actual physical objects in space, but points in space aligned opposite of each other. Before I go into the details of each planet and their influences, let me describe the 3 categories in which planets and astral points can be divided. These 3 categories are Shubh Grah, Paap Grah and Krur Grah. As the name suggests, a Shubh Grah normally acts for our benefit and Paap Grah acts to our detriment. Sun is in a category of its own. It's considered a Paap Grah by nature, but since it provides us with life force, it's considered a Krur Grah that is somewhere in between a Shubh Grah and a Paap Grah. The first planet I'm going to discuss today is Sun or Surya. Sun is a Krur Grah which is between a Shubh Grah and a Paap Grah as mentioned earlier. Sun influences or is a kaarak of power, mental sharpness, enthusiasm, government service, soul or atma, among other things. Sun's nature is being strong-willed, being a fighter, having less hair, and having strong bones. Now, let me show you how you can do a basic prediction using sthaan Vichar and Grah Vichar. What you see in front of you is a Kundali where the Sun is sitting in the first house. As you might remember from my video on sthaan Vichar, first sthaan is for appearance and body among other things. Now we know that Sun influences strength, has less hair, etc. We can now simply combine these 2 pieces of information. If the Sun is strong in the Kundali, we can do a basic prediction that this Jatak is physically strong with less hair and is likely to be involved in government service. A Jatak is someone whose Kundali we are predicting, also called the person whose Kundali we are reading. Do remember that this is a basic prediction. Other factors such as strength of the planet, which I will discuss in a later video, will affect the prediction. Moon or Chandrama is a Shubh Grah which influences one's looks or appearance, man or heart, happiness or chitta prasannata, being famous, decisiveness, love for sweets and food, female partner, milk and silver, blood flow control, among other things. Moon has a soft voice and nature with beautiful eyes. Now let me show you how you can do a basic prediction for Moon in the first house. As you might remember from my video on sthaan Vichar, first house is for body and appearance. So, if the Moon is good in the Kundali, one can expect the person to have attractive looks and they would be a quick decision maker, etc. Whereas, if Moon in the Kundali is not good, the person will be indecisive, be prone to feeling unhappy or dissatisfied, and so on. Mars or Mangal is a Paap Grah which influences nature of brother and sister, fighting ability, animosity, cruelty, weapons, land, Paap and affairs, injury and blood. Mars's nature is aggressive, prachand but generous, appears younger than actual age. It governs the Majja Bahag or bone marrow. Slim waist, it has shiny and curly hair. Now let's continue our prediction example for Mars in the first house. If Mars is strong in the Kundali, the Jatak or person is a fighter, owns land and manages the ownership of land fiercely. In other words, the person doesn't allow access to their land or property and keeps it very close to them. If Mangal is weak and is in the first sthaan, it can imply blood-related disorders and being prone to injury, especially blood-related. Now let's look at Mercury or Bhuddh, which is a Shubh Grah. It influences our nervous system, being a mathematician, mental sharpness, jolly nature, especially if sitting together with Moon, skin, among other things. Mercury has a sweet voice and proportional limb size. Now I'm going to do prediction analysis using the fourth house. As you might remember from my video on sthaan Vichar, fourth house determines material happiness, clothes, and friends, among other things. Now, if I combine that with Buddh's attributes, I can potentially predict that if Mercury is in the fourth house, the Jatak has many friends due to his or her jolly nature, is mentally sharp, which possibly helps accumulate material happiness. Venus or Shukra is a Shubh Grah. It influences wife, richness, being a businessman or woman. It governs our singing voice, promiscuity, as well as cow ownership. Now, cow ownership doesn't literally have to mean owning a cow. You can own a cow, but it also implies you're well off in the modern world. Shukra by nature appears colorful, has curly hair, looks very beautiful and has big eyes. Now, I will predict the effects of Venus in the fourth house. As we have discussed before, fourth sthaan is for material happiness, clothes, friends, and mother. Now, Venus influences singing voice, richness, lust, and beauty. If we combine these, we can predict that if Venus is strong in the Kundali, the person has a great singing voice, looks beautiful, wears expensive clothes, and is potentially lustful. Jupiter or Brihaspati is a Shubh Grah. It's a very important Grah in the Kundali. When strong, can bring lots of good results. It influences one's smartness, analytical ability, son or daughter, one's own character or charitra, husband for a female's Kundali, admin capabilities, who our guru will be, spiritualism, among other things. Brihaspati likes yellow color, has deep voice and brownish hair. Now I will discuss what the prediction for Jupiter in the fourth house will look like. Jupiter in fourth house, when strong, can help find a guru to get material happiness, The Jatak will like yellow color and will have a good circle of friends, not just fair weather friends. Saturn or Shani is a Paap Grah and influences things like death, age, fear, poverty, illness, laziness, and impurity, among other things. Shani appears langda or has leg issues, is a backbiter and stone-hearted. It also appears angry and dangerous looking. Now let's look at Shani's prediction in the 4th house, combined with its attributes. It can be considered that the person is lazy, devoid of material happiness, or is poor, and doesn't have good relationship with his or her mother. I will talk about Rahu and Ketu now, but I will do it together. They are both Paap Grahs. They influence various different things. Rahu influences skin disease, itchiness, body pain, dark places, mystery illness, among other things. Ketu is considered a spiritual Grah with cruel nature. Now I will look at a Kundali with Rahu and Ketu sitting in the 1st and 7th house. As you may recall from my video on sthaan Vichar, 1st house governs appearance and body, whereas 7th sthaan governs spouse and desires. It's worth noting that Rahu and Ketu are always 180 degrees away. So for example, as in this Kundali, if Rahu is in the 1st house, Ketu will always be in the 7th house and so on, a difference of 6 houses. Now, if we combine Rahu and Ketu's attributes with the sthans they are in, we can possibly predict that the person is not good looking, can suffer body pain and mystery illness, since Rahu is in the 1st house. This person may have a spiritual wife due to Ketu being in the 7th house. There are 3 advanced attributes of planets which I will briefly discuss here. First concept is friendship. If 2 planets are friends and if they sit in a house or sthaan together, they show even better results. Whereas, if 2 planets who are enemies and sit together, they don't show as good results or phal if they were individually sitting there. Another concept is degree. As you may recall, Kundali is a representation of the sky divided into 12 sections. So each planet can have a degree between 1 to 30. A degree closer to 1 represents that the planet is young or weak. A degree around 15 is considered peak adulthood or strong, and 29 is considered old or vriddha avastha and weak again. A weak planet, even though looking good in the Kundali, will not give all its phal or influence. A planet in adulthood will provide full phal as per Kundali. Third concept is drishti, where planets watch certain houses from where they are sitting. A favorable planet's drishti can help certain aspects of our lives, while the reverse is true for Paap Grahs. We will discuss this in more detail in a later video in advanced concepts on Grahs. Now, let's put what we have learnt in this video together to predict for the Kundali in front of you, where we consider 2 planets, Jupiter in the 9th house or Bhagyasthan and Shani in the 11th house or Ayasthan. A strong Jupiter in Bhagyasthan implies person is lucky, is involved in religious worship. Similarly, a strong Saturn in 11th house implies strong income in Saturn's dasha and unexpected good news. Another thing to note is that both Saturn and Jupiter are sitting in their own rashis, so will give good results. Curious about rashis? I will discuss more about them in my next video on rashis. This concludes this video on learning Grah Vichaar. Don't worry if you don't remember every attribute listed here. We will learn by practicing and doing predictions on Kundalis in my other videos. Dhanyavad and thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe my channel.